What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're here for a brand new Madden 25 realistic rebuild of the New England Patriots, where we have at minimum 5, maximum 10 seasons to try and bring the Patriots back to another Super Bowl and maybe try to restart the Patriots dynasty. I think along with a lot of fans from the outside looking in, were very surprised that the Patriots just automatically made Drake Maye the successor to the greatest football coach of all time in Bill Belichick. I thought for sure, especially when the Titans fired Mike Vrabel, it's like, well, clearly Mike Vrabel is better than Drake Maye. He's going to be the guy. And, you know, you had to wait a full year and kind of burn a year of Drake Maye's rookie contract, but you get, at the end of the day, clearly who should be the successor for Bill Belichick. You get Mike Vrabel, Patriot way, to an absolute T, badass head coach. I would assume most Patriot fans are over the moon with this signing. Looking at the offense that Mike Vrabel is inheriting, well, we got the most important piece of a franchise quarterback lockdown. However, the rest of the roster is a pretty big question mark across the board. But Drake Maye, I was very vocal that Drake Maye was my quarterback one last year over Caleb Williams, over Jaden Daniels. I still hold that. And I'm not just trying to glaze all the Patriot fans that are watching this video here today, but I still think I saw enough of the splash plays, the wow plays out of Drake Maye to be like, the other guys weren't doing that. Jaden Daniels' big scrambling ability is ridiculous. And I'm not anti-Jaden Daniels as an Eagle fan. Thought he was going to be a good... Never thought any of these quarterbacks were going to suck. I just had a different ranking of who was going to be better. And Jaden Daniels' scrambling ability definitely translates, but like, what was his biggest play? Underthrown Hail Mary that deflected into an end zone. That's his like big wow standout play of the year. Then you look at Caleb Williams, struggled immensely, where just imagine if Drake Maye had the weapons that Caleb Williams had. Imagine if Drake Maye had DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet, but then you get Rome Odunze, first round pick. You get DJ Moore, baller. You get Keenan Allen, baller. With a third of the talent, I think Drake Maye firmly was more impressive than Caleb Williams this season. And I think the wow plays of Drake Maye, the things that he was able to do on the run, cannon of, like just the tools. The tools that he has, for my opinion, I still have him. Going into the sophomore campaign of all these quarterbacks, Drake Maye would still be my number one. But the rest of the offense here, I mean, we got Ramondre Stevenson, solid running back. Like Gibson and him, 1-2 punches, decent. Are they going to be here? You picture right now, look at every one of these guys. Where are they going to be in 5 years' time? Where are they going to be when the Patriots are going to be rounding around here for a complete team to go on a Super Bowl run? Right? I don't know if the running backs are going to be here. You look at the wide receivers. You got Pop Douglas. Yeah, maybe he could be a slot guy. You have Butte, who I was very high on. And you got to remember, there's a point in time when he was at LSU. He had like double-digit touchdowns in 8 games. Like it was... He looked like the next big LSU wide receiver. Like, you know, you're looking at Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, is Butte the next guy? You know, and fortunately he was kind of Malik Neighbors was the next guy, and he's figuring it out. But a lot of the thing I think was tied down to a bad injury they'd had in college, and he kind of emerged as of late as like a nice weapon for the Patriots. So like it'd be cool if he develops. But again, massively, you got Bourne, you got Jalen Polk, you got Baker. A lot of question marks here at wide receiver, and I think it's probably only fair to assume that maybe Pop Douglas could carve out a role as a slot wide receiver long term. You look at the tight end, same thing. Hunter Henry, pretty much limited ceiling. He is what he is. He's as good as he's ever going to be at this point. Where's he going to be in 5 years? Probably retired. You got Mike Vrabel at right tackle. Maybe there's something there. You got the Canadian and City Sal, long ways to go for development. David Andrews near the end of his career. Cole Strange is one of those like weird, like he was a super old rookie. So maybe we'll be positive and say, like, maybe Cole Strange could still be here as a 30-plus-year-old. Like, you know, his ceiling's probably in the low 80s, and that's serviceable enough at left guard. Massive question mark at left tackle, Caden Wallace, who I think was like a, third-round pick at a Penn State. Maybe, but likely going to need to find a franchise left tackle, and those don't grow on trees. So more questions than answers at the offensive side of the ball. But the biggest, most important position we have locked in for this rebuild. On the defensive side, this is where Mike Vrabel and his Tennessee Titans teams always kind of thrived a little bit. Front three, we have Godchau's a veteran. You got Keon White. I think we can count on him to develop into a stud 78 star. We have Barmore 78 star. I like to think that both Barmore and White can be fixtures of this defense. The rest of the front seven, you got Jennings, Bentley, Taki, and Tavai. Fast forward 5 years. Who's still here? How old's Bentley? 26? 28. Oof. So, I mean, he got one more year till he starts regressing. So, I mean, we might need to replace that whole linebacking core, especially at edge rush. We got Peppers and Duggar, who are a great 1-2 punch at safety. But again, both these guys, if you're trying to look at it like a 5-year scope, when this team is going to be rounding into we're a legit contender, they're probably both going to be well on the side of regression. We have 74 here in Mapu. But I think we got to find a way to get him on the field. He's one of the younger secondary players with some upside on this team. But even then, like, still just a weird, we're in a rebuild, and like Peppers and Duggar are kind of win now players. Same with Bentley. So I'm not saying we trade them, but I'm not saying we see what we could get on the open market. You look at the secondary, you got Jones, again, a veteran who in 5 years' time probably got to be your guest. Put him on the list of potential trade pieces. You got Marcus Jones, solid slot corner, great special teams, like a great weapon, great athlete. Maybe we can count on him. But out of anybody on the defense, like the blue chip player that we're going to have to build around is Gonzo. Christian Gonzalez, 6'2", 200 pounds. I thank God. Thank you, Commanders, for not bringing this guy into the division. An absolute baller. Corner one. Star Dev is kind of disrespectful. Didn't he get some hardware? Isn't he like all-pro, second-team all-pro or something like that? Probably should be a superstar Dev. Elite traits. Elite everything, man. He's putting together. He was definitely a guy, though, that when he was drafted, we're just like, oh, great. You're giving Bill Belichick one of the best defensive coaches, like the athlete of the corners 2 years ago. Maybe wasn't the most pro-ready. And then, maybe Bill Belichick's lasting impact in the league, like his last big, like that's my guy. That's a Bill Belichick stamp. It could be Christian Gonzalez. So he's going to be the anchor of this defense going forward. But really, we're trying to build this team around Christian Gonzalez and Drake Maye, which means there's a lot of work to do to get this team back into Super Bowl contention. So the stats this season, Drake Maye, 2,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, 10 picks. But I think the argument can be made, like one of the worst supporting offenses around in the league, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. No one even close to a 1,000-yard receiver. I tell you right now, I had Pop Douglas on my fantasy team. Just wasn't good, man. Let's just say did not end up winning my fantasy league. Defensively, divide a bunch of tackles, sacks. It's all right. We're a 3-4. It is what it is. Gonzalez was second-team All-Pro, which is huge. I'll be honest, I was this close to changing him to a superstar dev. Because your first or second-team All-Pro, that should represent a dev trait in real life, in Madden. Like he'll be a superstar in next year's Madden. But he did not progress or go up a dev trait because he only had 2 picks and his stats weren't quite there. We're not going to cheese. We don't want to make this any easier. We're going to embrace the challenge and trust that he'll get up to superstar dev on his own merit. So because we're using the new updated starting point of the wildcard round, which update to everybody, I literally was starting a rebuild yesterday and that did not exist. So that was patched in. You can now start week 18 or the first round of the wildcard round if you're doing an online franchise mode. I've seen some people asking how I'm doing this. We have $137 million in salary cap, but because of this starting point, we don't get any of like the in-season negotiations. So we literally have like an all or nothing. We have one offer to convince players that we want to stay. I thought Christian Allen's gonna have a higher rating. I remember he was here in Philadelphia. Good special teamer, maybe not a great starter. We got David Andrews. I feel like a 1-year deal. Just offer him this. If he takes it, yeah. If not, we'll get younger at the position. Good little band-aid there at center. One less position we have to worry about. I don't really want to be drafting a center. We have much bigger needs and issues to kind of worry about. Alex Austin, 24.72, not a bad rating. Look with Jonathan Jones. I think we got to get younger there. Yeah, we'll pick up the 5th-year option on Cole Strange, I guess. I mean, I think you're kind of like, there's no win-win there. You either pick up the 5th-year option or you decline it and get into a long-term extension. But he's at 27. He's pretty much, like, by the time he's done his 5th-year option, he's going to be probably at his expiry date for a guard or close to his ceiling. So that's kind of where we are at there. I wonder if this Austin guy can develop. I'm interested. We'll lose Jonathan Jones. This means our corners are going to be Gonzalez, Marcus Jones. This Austin guy is decent depth. We'll see. 3 years, $9 million. All right, never mind then. For free agency, didn't go crazy, but I think we did all right. We brought back Alex Austin, best young corner that was available. Just add some depth there. We got Jamian Sherwood, 74.25 with a star dev. Just gives us someone else who can play along. Jawan Bentley for next season. Had a little bit overpay. There's some bids, some competition, stealing him away from the Jets. And then we got Dan Moore, who's, honestly, I was surprised that he's that right. I thought he was not particularly good for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he does represent like a 9-point upgrade over Caden Wallace at left tackle. And I don't really plan on drafting a left tackle with our top 5 pick. So I just got, only a 2-year deal, kind of a stopgap until we can find a true successor. The big player that I wanted to get that we just didn't have, Creed Humphrey was interesting. I thought about potentially bringing in Kilomack on a rental, but Nick Bolton, I put a big offer there on Nick Bolton. He went to the Green Bay Packers. That would have been awesome. Mike Vrabel needs a linebacker, 25-84 with the star dev, Chiefs winning mentality. He just, wanted to go to a playoff contender and not a rebuild. I respect it. I understand it. All right, so looking at the last mock draft, getting an idea. This is how, 4 picks, a little bit of a wild card there, but with the Patriots picking at 5, I'm not going to lie. When I started this rebuild, I already looked to get a jersey swap of Travis Hunter on the Patriots because he's not always an automatic first overall pick. But this could play out in real life. I think a lot of Patriots fans are cheesing for Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter is going to be an awesome player wherever he goes. I think the Bill Belichick-ish of Mike Vrabel. Travis Hunter is like the all-time Bill Belichick player. Where it's like, oh, we can play in both positions? Awesome. Give me him. But there's also a very, very real situation that Tennessee doesn't like any quarterbacks, and they just say, we're getting a generational athlete at pick 1, and we'll figure out the rest. And then you're like, all right, Browns are probably going to go quarterback. Giants are probably going to go quarterback. Raiders could go whatever. So I'm going to be honest, sitting here at pick number 5, I think the 2 players make the most interesting option for us. One is Mason Graham at defensive line. That seems like a Mike Vrabel guy, but the guy I'm more interested in, he's the hot name right now. That is Abdul Carter for Penn State. I think if I'm rating my personal top players, he might be my number 1 in this year's class. As hot of a take as that may potentially be. That is what I think we're going to do. Having sitting and waiting until pick number 5, we got to wait a little bit longer for a Travis Hunter rebuild. I thought about trading up. I think it'd be a fun, but I think if you're a Patriot fan, like those are your 2. You either get Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. And there's a chance, because it's a Bill Belichick pick to get Travis Hunter. Bill Belichick's not here. It's Mike Vrabel. And Mike Vrabel might be like, give me the linebacker. Give me the pass rusher. That can completely transform our defense. Number 19 in true value, pick number 5. Don't matter. Stud. Pick 5 in the second round. We got a lot of options here. I would have loved a better role at wide receiver. I think Lacey's he's got some other issues on his mind right now. Trey Harris out of Ole Miss definitely could be in play. Productive SEC wide receiver, and I'm going to be honest, it's going to have to take someone else. That's our pick right now until we can find someone that could potentially get us to pivot. Like Restrepo, it's another Patriot pick of all Patriot picks, beast slot wide receiver. But I think with Pop Douglas, we have our slot wide receiver. We got Tyler Warren at tight end. Do we just double up? How is he still on the board? Okay, never mind. We might need a pivot there. Connerly at tackles, also legit. Defensively, Shamar Stewart makes sense, but we feel pretty good about our front 3 at linebacker. You still got Barrett Carter, but we just paid Sherwood. What do we got at corner? Decario Davis, Maxwell Hairston. Kind of what are they looking like? Decario BB, he's a height, weight, speed type player. Or we have Hairston, SEC corner from Kentucky, all Bs. You're in a 4-5. No elite traits outside of agility, not too bad. I think we take advantage of whatever this draft role was of having Tyler Warren fall out of the first round, and we just don't look back. I think we take truly BPA 58. What? Now we're in the 3rd round. I'm kind of picking BPA here a little bit. And we have Ricardo Hallman from Wisconsin. A catching, B-man, B-press. Don't know his zone. Combine's not the best, but the letter grades are really, really intriguing. We have at linebacker Jay Higgins from Iowa. I know he's like a PFF darling. He's at this round type talent, but a 4.7 has me a little scared. David Bailey. But he's more of a, even though it says, he's a power rusher. Sonny Styles make the most sense. Now, I've cheesed him before. He's been a part of it, but Vrabel's Ohio State. He's Ohio State. Get ourselves another project. I don't care if it's one too many slot wide receivers. Xavier Restrepo is a Patriot true and true. 42 in true value at 101. I'll go to day 3. I think there's immense value here in Devin Neal. Running back with Ramondre Stevenson. Not necessarily a need, but I think Devin Neal is absolutely in a very, very strong running back class. One of the steals if he falls to this point in time. Like any other year, he's maybe in the discussion for a top 5 running back. Very underrated. If you watch any Kansas game, especially near the end of college football last year where Kansas was just beating everybody, Devin Neal is a stud. So I just feel like, are we ever going to want to pay a running back? Do we go the Patriot way of never paying running backs? Kind of inherit that. If that's the case, you got to get a lot of cheap rookies. And Devin Neal, number 81 in true value at 133. And we get a dev trait. Let's go. After that, need a kicker, and we end up getting the 13th best hidden dev kicker. Let's go. Looking at our draft haul. Pretty decent. We got a blocking tight end here. We got Noah Williams who had like 7 picks or something like that last year. At Cal was still on the board. Borealgus, 76 hidden dev kicker. Sick. Devin Neal in the 5th round, 71 hidden dev running back. Restrepo, 73 slot wide receiver in the 4th round. Sonny Styles, 68 overall, but does have the dev trait in the 3rd round. So a whole lot of upside. The shocking pick is Tyler Warren, 73 overall. Okay, I can buy that, but no dev trait. Pretty disrespectful for a guy that a lot of people think should go in the 1st round. And if he falls in the 2nd round, it'd probably have to be due to like medicals, or he has like an all-time terrible combine, which I just don't see being the case. But we will definitely take him. It's not necessarily outside the realm of possibility that he could fall, but it's very, very unlikely. But we'll take the all the Penn State players they want to give us. Headlined by Abdul Carter at number 5, 76 hidden dev pass rusher, who I'm going to be honest, maybe even docked him a little bit on the speed. I think you could definitely give him a little more speed and acceleration. Like I'd probably give him 91 acceleration, 88 speed or something like that. He is incredibly twitchy and very much in the build of a Micah Parsons type, but whatever way you cut it, he's going to be a big-time playmaker, and hopefully this is the beginning of turning this Patriots team around and getting them back to that dynasty level. The first thing that caught our eye in training camp, Devin Neal. We liked the value that we got him, and then we said, hey, maybe what can this kid do with the starters? It's Mike Vrabel, he's not going to be the Derrick Henry, if we're going to try to assume that Mike Vrabel wants to try to repeat history of what he's had in his most successful teams. But you look at Ramondre Stevenson, you look at, what else they got back there. A rookie with upside. He's earned some reps. I think everyone in their dog knows how this is going to go. Patriots, on paper, not a particularly good offensive line. You just get like a generational pass rusher. Oh, imagine what he's going to do. Oh, just literally embarrassing every single member. I'm seeing double-digit sacks every season from rookie onward out of Abdul Carter. We freed up 2 roster spots before the season started. We got Jahan Dotson at wide receiver looking to make the most, and we're just kind of collecting Penn State players like they're Pokemon. So we'll take him in as one of the spots. But the other one is at a position that we could use, but starter. We have Carrington Valentine, 23, 74, 91 speed, 94 acceleration. And he might be able to sneak on the field for us this year. It's time to get into year 1 of the Mike Vrabel era here in New England and take a look at the offense. Feel cautiously optimistic. I think you could definitely see areas that clearly aren't going to get the job done. I think you look at wide receiver, probably need more help to Drake Maye. It'd be real nice if a Kayshon Boutte, Xavier Restrepo, a Tyler Warren pops a dev trait this season, because then you're going to feel a little bit more comfortable about their ceiling and upside. But as it stands right now, we got Devin Neal. We're going to get him on the field, the rookie out of Kansas. We got Dan Moore in free agency, which gives us hopefully not a turnstile at left tackle, but still fair to say there's more questions than answers on the offensive side of the ball. When we look at the defense, I feel a little more optimistic. I think this front 3 should do work. Again, Barmore and Keon White should be fixtures of this defense for a significant portion of today's video. You look at the linebacking core. We got Abdul Carter, who he popped with a star dev. That may be a little harsh, finding that info out after having a getting that gold medal in training camp and playing through the preseason. I think It's kind of what comes with the nature of these draft classes, the custom draft classes, sports gaming rosters. I think they're still the best. But maybe every now and again, if I had to have one small complaint, he could have a little more fun with the dev traits on some of the big name players. But with knowing the talent that Abdul Carter is, I certainly don't think he'll be on a star dev for long. Outside of that, we got Sherwood coming over from the Jets in free agency, 25. We got Sonny Styles, hidden dev, Ohio State. So Mike Vrabel likes his Ohio State players. Duggar and Peppers, they are going to slowly start to regress, but we don't have to worry about that right now. We got Gonzo, who would be very exciting to see him go up dev trade, but he's already one of the best young corners in the NFL. We have Jones. We got Valentine, who we just signed off the practice squad. I think he was on the Packers practice squad. Unfortunately, I'm recording this on Monday, and he was on the wrong end of like 3 stiff irons from Dallas Goedert on a touchdown last night in the Eagles-Packers wild card matchup. But maybe we'll be able to make up for it a little bit here this season. But I feel real good about the defense. I think this is going to be a competitive defense. There's no real glaring weaknesses. Offensively, I really want to see Drake Maye flourish. And I don't know if we've done enough in one offseason to give him the passing attack that he needs to do so. But we'll find out here in year 1. Let's go. The midway point of our first true season here. We're 3-3. We're 500. I don't think, especially after we just previewed the roster, that's a roster that's going to be like, 6-0 at this point. We are very much grinding our way. But you look at the numbers. Top half offensively, almost top half passing yards, which is good for Drake Maye. And then you look at the defense. Top 10 defense, 4th in passing yards against, 8th in rush yards against. So very much like a Mike Vrabel team. It feels like, let's look at some contracts. I think our salary cap's in a decent spot. $86 million is not bad at all. We got the 5th-year option for Gonzalez. Probably going to decline that so we can get that long-term extension in. Andrews just continue to be like a 1-year rental, as long as he wants to, but he's kind of leaning against not doing that. We brought in Valentine. Definitely some upside there if he takes this deal. Okay, I guess a lot of guys are on the fence about what's going on here. I think we have depth at linebacker now that we don't have to pay Jawan Bentley, because that's a decent chunk at 29. He's looking for 3 years. He's only going to regress from here on out, so I don't love the idea of that. Marcus Jones, on the other hand, versatile player, looking for a 2-year, $10 million. We'll get that one locked in. All right, need to dap up this Mike Vrabel's team, man. We are on a 3-game win streak. Saints, yeah, that's winnable. We'll beat the Bengals. And we got a Player of the Week performance here from Marcus Jones, the nickel corner. 8 tackles and an interception. Our first Player of the Week of the rebuild. Got to show respect on that. But we're 7-4. We're looking decent, right? We're in a playoff spot. Now, the offensive numbers there definitely could improve. But a Mike Vrabel defense is getting the job done. So at the end of year number 1 of Mike Vrabel, he grinds his team 9-8 to squeak into the wild card playoffs. You look at our rankings, it's not pretty. There's red flags for sure. I guess overall you could say the defense, points per game, not the best, but how it's made, the pass yards against, rush yards against, pretty decent. All things considered, because this is not a juggernaut squad, but that's kind of what I feel like you'd get out of Mike Vrabel. He will take a grindy, kind of meh team like he did all those years in Tennessee and find ways to get them in the playoffs. And it's going to be my job, taking over as the GM of this rebuild, to put talent around him now. I got to get him his Derrick Henry. I got to find him his A.J. Brown. But we got Drake Maye here with very limited passing offense as far as supporting cast. 3,700 yards, 30 touchdowns, 12 picks. Now, not going to be getting a superstar dev trade off of this, but that's a pretty good season, considering if all goes well, and I did focus scout this year wide receivers in the upcoming draft, this is as bad as his supporting cast is ever going to be. And if this is kind of now like his established baseline, I'm excited to see what he can do once we get some big-time players out there. Our run game, non-existent. Real bad. Hopefully Devin Neal doesn't lose his hidden depth. Receiving. Well, Demario Douglas, Pop Douglas, 65 catches, just under 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. Solid year. 82 catches, 870 yards, 13 touchdowns for the rookie Tyler Warren, who that may get him some... He could win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Tough to beat some of those quarterbacks, but 13 touchdowns is a hell of it. He's on normal dev. I tell you what, he probably gets star off of that at minimum. 800 yards for the rookie Restrepo out of Miami. Butte with 700 yards and 4. So I'm seeing the ball gets spread around here a little bit, and you figure if some of these guys are replaced by clearly better players, maybe we'd be a little more optimistic. The sack numbers are gross. Okay, it's one of them 3-4 teams. Okay. Interception numbers are fine, but this is very concerning. Might need to figure that out. Let's go! Tyler Warren is your Offensive Rookie of the Year, beating out the likes of Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Tet McMillan. Hell yeah. Let's go! How? Abdul Carter, Defensive Rookie. They only had, he did have 10 TFLs, 5 sacks. But that's not anything special. I'm at least happy that I was underwhelmed by that season, and it was still better than the likes of Walter Nolan and Travis Hunter and James Pierce. And our rookie kicker gets Kicker of the Year. Okay. So the first game of our playoff journey is against the Houston Texans, who have a top 10 offense. Defensively, though, pretty bad. So this is going to be the Texans offense against the Patriots defense. Who is going to get a win? I'd love to get at least one, sneak one playoff win here. Ooh, shootout, huh? Patriots defense does not show up. 35-32. The good news is Drake Maye had 4 touchdowns. The bad news is our season is now over. But there might be a little bit of a medium good news in regards to our coaching staff. So at first, our kicker of the year, Andre Borregales. Now up to an 82 overall and already was a superstar dev. Huge win. Our new Vinatieri, if you will. Tyler Warren gets an upgrade point here. And he is going to end his campaign as an 81 base overall, 83 with the morale. And just like outrageous upgrades here across the board. But he goes from normal dev, gets the double dev trait. Now he gets the star dev off of the production. In fact, he had 13 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards. Definitely plays a part. And then follows that up, Offensive Rookie of the Year up to superstar dev. And I think it's fair to say that if most of you draft nerds like myself, if I drafted Tyler Warren and he was a superstar, most people would go, yeah, that's right. You would react more ridiculous seeing him as a normal dev, which he was, than seeing him as a superstar dev, if that makes sense. And you know what? We got Adam Vinatieri 2.0. How about we give ourselves, and it's not very fair to say this, but a Gronk-esque caliber tight end here in Tyler Warren. And last but not least, our first round pick, Abdul Carter, ends his rookie campaign. Statistically, not where he wants to be, but an 83 overall, and by winning the Defensive Rookie of the Year award, which we got Mike Vrabel. He can bring the best out of defensive players, gets a superstar dev trait. So sky's the limit for him. But it now goes to a very important, you know what? Make all these young guns. This could be the draft class of all time for the Patriots. That's a big issue for them. Going back to post-Tom Brady, have they ever had a good draft since Tom Brady retired? No. First draft was Mike Vrabel era. Outstanding. So the biggest thing when I was making Mike Vrabel, obviously doesn't exist in-game anymore, is like, what do I make the offensive and defensive scheme? Because he doesn't really have a coaching tree. Like, there's coaches around his staff. You have Arthur Smith. So that would be the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Matt LaFleur, which would be the Green Bay Packers offense, which would be incredible. But I felt like if we're going to do that, because we know how cheesy in particular the Green Bay Packers offense can be in the sim, we got to do it organically and hire an offensive coordinator that has Green Bay offense. And unfortunately, going through here, we have some ex-head coaches, but there is not one coaching tree available that fits Mike Vrabel. So that's a bummer. I guess we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. Look at who's available, look at the defenses, and make an informed decision. We have the Titans defense, which is the same scheme that we rocked last year, and this is kind of the numbers that they got. Man, not bad, but also maybe we could do better. The Giants scheme, defensive coordinators available. Pass. A Dolphins defensive coordinator is available. Not bad. It's getting better. And Detroit is the final. And I think we're going with Detroit. I'm very happy to announce Howard Lodge is the new defensive coordinator, and we're going to be embracing his Detroit Lion philosophy defensively. Now, the offense is a little bit different. We kind of know what offenses are good, but I'll take anybody. We're doing this as organic as we possibly can. Ooh, Cincinnati offense. That could work. Ryan Dable, New York Giants. Interesting. Could be a good QB guru. Tennessee, got Las Vegas, Carolina. Nothing too good. A lot of Detroit, Arizona, balanced run. Baltimore, not what we're looking for. New York, Jets, New Orleans. Well, we have a clear front runner, and we are going to hire a Cowboys offensive coordinator. That's a good role. Good news is the Dallas Cowboys offense is what we are already running in a West Coast zone run. And then I think for Detroit, 3-4 Storm probably best represents that. And it does sound as most similar to what Mike Vrabel used to run in Tennessee. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody comment that what I'm doing here is cheesy. But I also get the sentiment that's like, oh, we going with Dallas offense? The same offense you've complained that's too overpowered the last 5 Maddens? And on one hand, yes. But on the other hand, this is a realistic rebuild. And realistically, if the offense that I'm not rocking and rolling with Drake Maye is hurting the development of my quarterback, clearly, realistically, you're firing that offensive coach and looking outside the building. And you can't do it any more realistically than just hiring who's available. I would have loved Green Bay, honestly, because at least there's some ties to Mike Vrabel. Didn't get Green Bay. Dallas was the best available, and I think it's going to give us the best shot at turning this offense around. So what's not realistic about any of that? But a hole is opened up on the offenses. David Andrews has retired, so center now becomes a need for the Patriots this offseason. As I stated earlier in the year, I'm going to reject the 5th-year option for Gonzalez just so we can get ahead of what is going to be a mega contract extension. Sure, a little bit of fat here. So Antonio Gibson, thank you for our service, but I need Devin Neal to clearly work his way up the depth chart. We'll free up a couple $1,000,000 here. I think goes to catcher board. If he had motivator tag, I think I just would have kept him on the roster. But the fact that there's no motivator tag and we free up about $5 million in salary cap, appreciate you. But if you're not going to mentor the youth, get out of here. Going into free agency, not a crazy role. There's some nice players there. Andrews, Purdy, Mike Evans, some veterans. I thought about Khalil Shakir for a moment, but I set my focus scouting at wide receiver. So that's going to be my target in the first round. Derrick Henry's there. That feels like that'd be kind of cool. We got Reichard here. Also seems like it's going to be... You know what, though? He's on a 1 year. The Cowboys use a fullback, right? They got Lepke. Maybe. I mean, I don't want to overpay, but we'll see what happens. Because I feel like Ricard is like a perfect Mike Vrabel offensive guy. So we end up getting Ricard, McGovern, and Penning. We missed out on Kyer Elam. My plan with Penning is that for a player like him, high round pick, just hasn't worked out at tackle. So my plan is to kind of pull a mini Mekhi Becton, who also was a former first round pick, kicked it inside the guard. That's his best position. Big mauler, borderline dirty player. But we'll put him in here at right guard. And his rating only goes down 1. McGovern's going to be a day 1 starter at center. And we now got power, a power element in the backfield. For the wide receivers, we got studs. We got players. We got Zachary Branch, top 5 talent. Carnell Tate's first, second rounder. Alec Aomanor, the Canadian, is a first, second rounder. The last time Patriots got a Canadian wide receiver, N'Keal Harry, did not work out. First, second rounder, Elijah Surratt. Baron Brown from Kentucky is a first rounder. Again, we focus scouted these guys so like we can get values. I remember actually from our last rebuild, we did also need to scout wide receivers. We got a second, third rounder in Noah Robinson and a Robert Morris, which, let's be honest, if you've never heard of that school, if you've never heard of a school, you better believe it's in like the Patriots DNA just to draft that guy. Also scouted Harold Perkins, who's fallen a little bit, but I think another pass rusher on the other side of Abdul Carter could be interesting. We're going to pick it in the low 20s, so if we want to go a wide receiver, that's really good. We might have to think about trading up, but if we sit where we want, I think another edge rusher or a corner could make a lot of sense. Like a Domani Jackson could make sense. Delane out of Virginia Tech. Christian Gray from Notre Dame had a huge college football playoff semifinal. So we got options here. Quickly getting an idea of like who's going where. Branch is going top 5, so there's no chance. He's going within our division. Top corner's going top 5. Corner, top 10. Okay, like running tackles. Carnell Tate, another wide receiver, is going at 15 to the Rams. Corner gone. Ao Menor's going right before our pick. So that means if we stay put, Christian Gray, Domani Jackson, so a couple corners. Kevin Concepcion from NC State. I believe he entered the portal. Not gonna lie, I kind of want be a little Canadian bias here. We'll see what the Bucks want, potentially trade up. But Bucks were looking for a lot more than what I wanted to offer. And the draft order is completely like different. Uyunglele goes first, which is literally what we did when we rebuilt the Titans. That's kind of actually scary looking. Some of the picks like stayed put, like Zachary Branch went to the Dolphins. But Ao Manor is still on the board. In terms of players that we fully scouted, like we're in a great spot at pick 19. Look at all the talent. 2 legit first rounders. Surround. I think we make the best pick of the wide receivers. We need to continue to help the growth and development of Drake Maye. That is priority number one. And the Canadian, Ayo Manor, who has one of an S-tier highlight over Travis Hunter. 6'2", 215, big-time athlete. Elite strength, elite jumping, goods and goods, 4.45, 4.38 at 6'2". So and there's already Canadian bias. So all things are equal, that's going to be a tiebreaker. Elijah Surratt from Indiana has A catching, B release, 4.5 speed, does have elite strength, so I'm kind of scared away off of that combine. We have Barry Brown, who's a known burner. Ratings are dog shit, but I bet you he runs like a 4.3. And he does, but he doesn't even have like elite. I was really hoping to see elite in speed and acceleration. He is solid in acceleration, so it might take him a minute there to get up to speed. But I think all things considered, tick-tock goes the clock. Like, I think we do it. I think we go with the Canadian. Alec Ayomanor from Stanford. A little bit of a hipster pick. Just have a dev trait. Please have a dev trait because you are going to be fed the football in this offense. The Canadian, number 28 in true value. Getting him at 19, so it's not a complete reach. Give me dev trait. Yes! Let's go. 91 acceleration, 90 agility, 93 change of direction, 94 jumping, 92 speed. And we're going to make this Canadian wide receiver a legend. A Patriots legend. He's going to put up Randy Moss numbers, I promise you. We're now here in the second round. I'm looking, man. We got Dylan Thunneman, A tackle, A hit power from Purdue. Good combine as well. Could get younger at safety. I think the best pick, and I'm going like name value here, unfortunately. And if we're gonna default to like who's our coach, we have two options here. We have Josh Simmons at tackle, or do we just straight up? I think we have to get Brown. I think we just have to double up a wide receiver. Might spell the end to Keyshawn Boutte. But when you get a first-round talent and you still need help, like you throw as many assets as you can at that wall when you have blind pick territory. And maybe Simmons is a stud, but if Simmons at tackle is like a 72 normal, and Barry Brown here is like a 70, he's a first-round talent, so he's probably 74, 75 with a dev trait with 90-some plus speed, which he's going to have. You know, we would regret that pick. So Barry Brown, we'll look back probably in draft recap just out of curiosity's sake of these two. Number 20 in true value, getting him at 51, 94 speed, 98 agility, and a dev trait. All that being said, Simmons is still on the board. Found a willing trade partner, the Dallas Cowboys. They are trading me a pick, I don't know what that would officially be, like 22? Pick 22 in the second round for my third and fourth round pick this year, and my third round pick next year. This tackle better hit. Now, it's a blind pick, but I'm kind of going off name recognition a little bit because Josh Simmons have some first-round buzz around his name right now. But also, Dan Moore is entering the final year of his contract, and we just kind of got him as a Band-Aid. And Simmons, with elite strength, highest bench press, 6'8", out of the Ohio State. We know Mike Vrabel's going to cheese for his Ohio State guys once he's back as the head coach again. Please have a dev trait. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's a win. Big win. Let's make a couple trades, and we got the Pittsburgh Steelers offering us Beanie Bishop and a 6th-round pick for Keyshawn Boutte. Make that deal. We need depth at corner. We're able to send Dan Moore, who is now a surplus with the Josh Simmons selection, and a 2028. So that is the first draft that we're going to have Madden-generated players to move up and get a 3rd-round pick in 2028, which we should be able to do some damage with. Divide's the last kind of player that has some value that could be traded. This one's interesting from the Colts. Don't want to take him to town because it's still obviously a player on a rookie contract, started out with 77. But the fact that they're initiating that trade, see if we can make it look a little more reasonable. So, knowing that he's on the trade block and they actively want to move on from him, I make it a little more realistic as we send them to Vi. I'll give them Alex Austin, who also gives him a nice young developmental corner. Not as much upside as Jones, but he's still something there. As well as our 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks to round out this draft. We still have 2 6th and a 4th, I believe, this year. So we're not done with the draft, but we're getting a lot of depth here to the secondary, which hopefully improves our pass defense, which was middle of the mall last year. So we close out draft day with a bunch of trades and a condensed class that still absolutely hits. We got Noah Robinson, who was the stud UDFA corner that we found. He's 73 normal. We got Logan Brown, former 5-star recruit, 68 in the 6th round, which is great value. Josh Simmons, 71 hidden dev, is going to be our new starting franchise tackle. And then 2 75 hidden dev wide receivers who are going to start for us. Likely, I don't know how I'm going to utilize it because now Slot wide receivers sometimes don't have to be the best route runners because you can just have them just, run streaks and be your burner from inside the slot. But if I had to guess right now, I'm going to say we're going to move Pop Douglas into the slot with A.O. Minor and Barry Brown on the outside. The big news out of training camp is the Canadian A.O. Minor, the first-round pick, working against Chris Gonzalez, one of the best height, weight, speed corners in the league, put up gold in the drills, and looks to be wide receiver 1 to start year 2 of this rebuild. So big changes for the Patriots going into year 2 of this rebuild, but I slowly start to think like we're getting it put all together. Investment on the offensive line, getting McGovern and pending in free agency. Simmons, big shoes to fill because we traded away Dan Moore, who was our starter, to throw the rookie into the Wolves, and we'll see if he can hang. The good news is Tyler Warren's a superstar, featured heavily. We're going to go with Devin Neal as our primary running back, go with the youth movement, but we still have Ramondre be our power back. Demario Douglas, and then we got Barry and Brown, and A.O. Minor at wide receiver, so we have the most upside the Patriots wide receiver core has had since Tom Brady was there. Looking at this offense, I'm not going to say that there's no weakness per se, but we definitely need to find our game changers, which is the next step. Looking at the defense, very happy that we got the dev trade increase on Carter. I still like the front three, linebacking core. We got younger versus re-signing Jawan Bentley, so we're going Sherwood and Styles. Definitely could use another pass rusher on the other side, but it's a work in progress. Still have the aging safety room, but they're still solid for the time being, and we're able to address the core. We got Beanie Bishop from the Steelers, Jones from the Colts to go along with Gonzalez and Marcus Jones. I would love to say if we can get one thing to happen this year, in year 2, I'd love to see Gonzalez go up to a superstar depth. But we got new defensive scheme, new offensive scheme. Hopefully it works. Our first game of the new era with our new weapons is at home to kick off year number 2 against the Green Bay Packers. Let's hop in, get a feel for this new offense. I feel like these are the kind of games we got to start winning against fringe playoff contenders like the Green Bay Packers. Go first grab, A.O. Minor able to go underneath, first down into Packers territory on this opening drive. He's looking at chipping. Who said all Canadians are polite? Got him free. Look at that. Oh my God. Pop Douglas against a line. Rashawn Gary. I'll take that matchup every day of the week. We a little bit of our shooter. Defense not coming to play today. Growing pains of this Detroit scheme. Let's get the tight end. Bo. Size. Mismatch. You put up against, I don't even know who that is. McKinney? You got a 6'5 machine here. 6'6. Oh no. Okay. We're throwing spine busters out here. I got you. How about this spine buster? How about this spine buster, huh? For the love of God, can our defense get a stop? Boom, got him. A.O. Minor, his first career NFL touchdown is the go-ahead score. Come on, Mike. Coach that defense up. Offense is doing their job. It's the 4th touchdown of the day for... We got it. Able to close it out. Feel pretty good about the offense. A little sus about the defense, but Drake Maye is starting the season on fire. And the former offense coordinator, under Mike Vrabel. Maybe we can get him fired so that we can get a Packers offensive scheme going into next year. So, hot start. 4-0 for the Patriots, thriving with our new schemes and coaching staff. Mike Vrabel did a hell of a job to identify how we could get better offensively and defensively, but I want to get ahead of the contracts because we declined the 5th-year option on Gonzalez, and that means the price is only going to keep going up. So I'd rather get this contract out of the way. We'll see. We'll take the neutral offer, 6-year, 140. Easy. We got Pop Douglas, who I think definitely still has a role on this team in the slot. Now, $12 million a year is kind of expensive for a slot wide receiver. But the fact of the matter is, like, we have Restrepo. You could make the argument, okay, Restrepo, you just drafted him. Still on a rookie contract. But he's $24.77. Douglas is $25.84. Ceiling's a lot higher. So I think Pop Douglas, all things considered, worth the contract extension. Jalen Jones, this is why the Colts were willing to trade him, because they had no plan on re-signing him. But that's a really reasonable contract for a corner that should get up into the 80s. We have Keon White, who, you know what? In this case, really want to see if he can justify his contract. Love to keep him. Beast player. Anytime I've ever seen the Patriots play, which is not nearly as much out of the Tom Brady years, but he seems to make splash plays here and there. So I'd love to give him a contract extension, but for $54 million over 3 years, got to see some production. I'd say for him at minimum as a 3-4 D end, I'd like to see 7 sacks, 6-7 sacks in that way. We have Mapu. I think we just got decent youth signing, versatility out the yin yang, and gives us some options there. We have Cole Strange. I think we get him on a 2-year deal, $6 million cap hit. Probably give him about $1 million or more to make that make sense and keep him till he's 30, and then dump him when he's out of his prime. Everything else, I think we're pretty solid across the board. We got Behringer, who's a solid punter, but usually you could just like draft a punter, which, you know what? We can't be paying everybody. We got a Drake Maye contract potentially on the books. I like Ricard in the offense for a 1 year. Not worried about that. So handle our business. I think Cole Strange gets a contract extension. I think we wait and see with Keon White and everyone else. Thank you for your service. Next week after, we get a win over the Chargers with a defensive player of the week performance as we go to 5-0 from Marcus Jones with 2 picks from the slot. Dude, we're 7-0. We just beat the Bills and Chiefs. Outside of the game that we played, this team is on to something. The turnaround, I'm not going to say it's complete, but 12-5 this year is a lot better than 9-8 a year ago. We have the number 2 offense in terms of points scored, top 5 passing, borderline top 10 rushing. Our defense, whatever way you want to break it down, almost like a top 10 defense. Feel pretty confident in saying that, but we are the 1 seed in the AFC East, going 12-5. Not only getting our first 1 seed, but our first divisional title. And looking at the stats, pretty damn good. Drake Maye, top 5, 5 on the dot in yards, top 5, 5 on the dot in touchdowns, which should, especially with single-digit interceptions, put him in a terrific spot to make the jump from star up to a superstar quarterback. We probably should have a superstar dev anyways. Running the football is still kind of non-existent, but, solid play out of Devin Neal. We're not paying him. He's on a rookie contract. Drake Maye with 400 yards, another 8 rushing touchdowns. So he goes with 49 touchdowns and almost 5,000 total yards. He's going to be up there in the MVP voting. Pop Douglas in the slot, 79 catches, 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns. 1,009 from A.O. Minor. 945 and 7 from the tight end Tyler Warren. That could honestly be another dev trade. And then Barry Brown, the other rookie, 700 yards and 10 touchdowns. So the offense is absolutely thriving and exactly what we need. The Ohio State linebacker, Mike Vrabel, wanted this guy. Pound at the table that we get him during draft time. He goes for 120 tackles, a TFL sack, 2 interceptions in his first year, taking over for Jawan Bentley. Sacks are not the best. I said I wanted 7 sacks, 6 to 7 from Keon White. He gets me 5.5. Probably not. I do like 8.5 from Abdul Carter, but I think it needs to get a lot better. 7 picks from Marcus Jones, 5 from Jabril Peppers, couple 2s. Would have loved to see maybe those 7 picks go to Christian Gonzalez, but really happy with those interception numbers, but still certainly need to refine that pass rush a little bit. Drake Maye is runner-up for the MVP. That is awesome. Mike Vrabel gets Coach of the Year, obviously. Ooh, we lose out on Offensive Player of the Year to a wide receiver that we thought about signing as Khalil Shakir hit free agency last year. But we get 1 and 2 for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Love seeing the Canadian A.O. Minor get it. Could potentially be a superstar dev trade increase. Drake Maye, unfortunately, just plays with Mahomes, so it's going to be very, very difficult throughout the entirety of this rebuild to get any of the quarterback awards. But Marcus Jones gets some hardware as DB of the Year, and he's on a star dev, so that likely, we're saying, hey, can we get Christian Gonzalez a superstar dev? Maybe we were gassing up the wrong corner. Well, first round of the playoffs as set, and we're taking on the Buffalo Bills as the 1 seed. You do not want to be a Dallas Cowboy and go 1 and done. But we are the Dallas Cowboys offense, so maybe we're going to get a little bit of that curse, and that's exactly what happens as we get pumped. 1 and done in the playoffs, 42-14. No, Sonny Styles gets Player of the Week. That's just because he got a lot of tackles. It was the Josh Allen show, 4 touchdowns. That's embarrassing. No. Oh, so bad. It's a young team. Comes with the territory, but Drake Maye 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, kind of is what it is. Our run game was non-existent. They got 3 rushing touchdowns. We had zilch. They were a more explosive offense, and then when you look at the defense, where'd all the sacks come? Shout out Keon White actually having a pretty damn good game. But the 1 turnover and all the offense was on Buffalo's side. So we got to learn from this. Correct the mistakes, and we'll be back. As we clear out our lockers on a very disappointing end of the season, there's still some good news. Drake Maye is now that superstar dev quarterback that I think could potentially just strap the rocket to the upside of him, this offense, and our team's success, especially when it comes to the playoffs. You know what? It's well overdue. Put the C on his chest. As for the rest of the offense, Barry Brown hitting dev is a star. Josh Simmons hitting dev is a star. We have Aok Elemanor getting a Offensive Rookie of the Year, the Canadian, now up to a superstar dev. Same with Tyler Warren, very, very productive here in our scheme and system. And he makes the jump from a superstar up to a superstar X Factor. The Patriots finally have their true Gronk successor. Defense underperformed, so this is where we're seeing a little bit of regression as Godchow and Duggar both lose their dev trait. We get the superstar dev increase for your DB of the Year in Marcus Jones. Abdul Carter keeps his superstar, which is absolutely a win. But honestly, if Keon White somehow, some way went up superstar dev, I think I would re-sign him. But at this point in time, we got to find someone that's a better fit that can get after the quarterback in our system. And it's just not a guy that gets 5.5 sacks looking for a $50-something million contract. As always, we're going to decline the option of Drake Maye so we can get ahead of that contract next year. Going to the offseason, we have Drake Maye's contract looming. And as far as upside, I feel pretty good about the offense. Offense is handled. We can rock and roll and run it back with these guys next year. Defensively is a different story. We need an edge rusher. We need a nose tackle. We need a 3-4 defensive end. So I think D-line, if we're going to spend money, is where it's going to go. It takes two to tango. And it does not look like the free agency pool wants to tango with what we need. 3-4 defensive linemen. We have Mozzie Smith who could play nose tackle, but kind of a limited ceiling there. He lost his dev trait, a little bit of a whiff of a pick for the Dallas Cowboys. And, of course, Keon White's the best available player, looking for $20 million, which is absolutely insane. And there's not like really anyone here. You got Miles Murphy that I saw down here, 25, big-time athlete, 6'5", 275 with 88 speed, 90 acceleration. I might come back to that just as a flyer for an edge rusher. But, you also got Ojulari, who has some upside, we all know. Channel legend from what he did for us. You got Herbig, who's a baller. Christian Harris. Kind of a hybrid, but no dev trait there. So I think we will take a little look here at Ojulari, but there's other contracts on the table for him. So I'm thinking maybe hit him something like that. 3-year, we'll round that up. 3-year, $21 million deal. See if you can catch on as a pass rusher for us. But I have no idea what the other market. Okay, it's Chicago and the Panthers. At corner, you got Garrett Williams. He's a good nickel, but I feel decent about our corner room, especially with the development of Marcus Jones. Now, our safety room, we got Mapu stepping up, but Brian Branch is like the top available player in free agents. No, we can. If we didn't have Drake Maye's contract coming up, I think we go, screw it. Let's get BPA right here. You could game change our defense. Drake Maye's going to want $1 trillion, so we can't be spending money on a safety. But we will try to get an affordable upside edge rusher in BJ Ojulari, and he's coming in. Take a little peek here at the draft that is coming up. We set our focus scouting. I said at D end. I probably should have done D tackle. But at D end, we got some good information. We have Adepoju Adebaware. There's a player there, but he's going top 10, so he's likely going to be out of the round. And Jordan Ross, we at least know who to avoid. Right defensive end, little bit better, but even then. So we got Dylan Stewart, absolute stud. We got Williams Winery, could believably maybe play as with that length. He adds 10 pounds. You're talking about a guy that clearly looks like he could be a 3-4 defensive end. So I'm very actually intrigued. Maybe I'll trade up for Winery. I focus scouted the interior guys, and we got James Smith from Alabama. There's value there if we can't, find a reasonable path to trade up and maybe get Winery. So Smith also makes a whole lot of sense, but we got to try to improve that front. And I guess just to understand the price, Dylan Stewart is going first overall. Probably should. Freak of nature. Anytime you're a true freshman and you're arguably the best pass rusher in the SEC, that's going to happen. Adebaware going top 10. Williams Winery. Okay, so he's going 12. Very expensive for us to try to consider. You have Bryce Young there from Notre Dame, the Notre Dame one. Jesus Christ, 6'7", 270. Absolute beast. The good news is that means James Smith clearly looks like the right pick for us to make. We're not going to have to trade up any, so that's good. Keep some assets. So with pick 27 in the first round of the 2027 NFL Draft, before we enter the world of the NPCs, the New England Patriots improving. He could be pack on 10 pounds and be a nose tackle. Could be a 3-4 defensive end. We'll see. I don't really see the power and finesse move. He's big time athlete though. I don't know, but he's gonna play somewhere. He's gonna start as a rookie. And it's at Alabama Pipeline, number 26 in true value. Getting him at 27. No dev trait is brutal, but anytime you get a 300-pounder with 85 acceleration, 75 speed, 94 strength, you feel confident that you can work with that dev trait. Regardless. Oh, it's brutal though. Come on. So second round, I think we're gonna move Smith to a defensive end, so we need a nose tackle and trying to blind pick. I think Jordan Hall out of Georgia, A play rec, A power, C block shed. He's a Georgia Bulldog, has elite strength. There's a lot less worse blind picks you can make. And we get 55 in true value at pick 59 with a dev trait. Let's go. 320 with 83 acceleration. That's a hit. I guess for whatever it's worth, I'm just filling up my depth chart. I need center, I need guard, and some depth, 3-4 line. I just get Cade McConnell here. 342 in true value. Nice little dev trait roll. So keep in mind, if you're using these draft classes, he's a UDFA grade with a dev trait. We need a punter. Didn't want to pay Behringer because we had to pay Drake Maye. You can't be playing special teamers. So we get Jacob Horvath with the 27th pick of the 7th round. Number 25 in true value. Sexy pick, right? Special teamers matter too. So it ends up being a decent haul here for the Patriots. We get a 74 punter in the 7th round. We get some depth, 3-4 depth in Cameron James out of Florida. We get depth at guard. McConnell, 62. The rating sucks, but he does have a depth trait for whatever that's worth. And a developmental player. Jordan Hall is going to play nose tackle, 72. And then we with a dev trait as well. So that's a big get there for the Georgia Bulldog. He's going to be a day one starter. And then moving to be our Keon White successor is James Smith. Pick 27 of the first round, 74 overall with the normal dev out of Alabama. And we'll see if that rating shifts any. He would be the right defensive end, I think he's going to be, of our scheme. So he goes from 74 as a D tackle, probably down to 72, down to 71. Ugh. All right, so we're now here coming out of our bye week in year number 3, late in the season. Coming out of week 12, had a loss before the bye. We're 6-5, so we now have equaled the amount of losses we had last year. So technically, we could still finish with the same record if we win out. Looking at how everything break down, very happy with our passing offense. Top 5 overall, top 5 passing offense. Wish the run game was a little bit more balanced. I feel like Mike Vrabel would have more balance to his offense. However, if you had to pick or choose, I think we're definitely going to be wanting Drake Maye to feature in this offense more than like Devin Neal would. And looking at our defense, that's definitely an area of concern. Defense is not particularly great outside of passing yards. Shout out Christian Gonzalez for shutting shit down. That's probably the only way we can kind of put that. We have $155 million. And it's because we got to pay Drake Maye. So we're going to get him in $300 million. So much, buddy. We got Marcus Jones. Let's get him locked in on a 2-year, $15 million deal, especially after last year we went up to a superstar dev. We have Sherwood at linebacker, Jabril Peppers, McGovern, who's our starting center, Penning at guard, who's starting. You got Duggar as an option, Ricard. Abdul Carter's contract is coming out. I mean, interesting spot because I do feel like a lot of these guys could be replaced. I think, in my opinion, we did draft a hidden dev center, even though he's 62. It's a long ways to go. But I think now that we're into Madden generated classes and we got an extra pick in one of, I think, the 4th round, I think we could probably draft a guard and center. Not a foregone conclusion, but I'd like to be confident that I can. Enough so because we just paid an outrageous contract to Drake Maye that I want to gamble that I can get affordable replacements on the interior of the line. I think Jabril Peppers, I focus scouted this year. Safeties, kind of knowing that I was going to have to replace. So I suppose if you're going down a list of what we do need to replace, linebacker might be a little more difficult this season. So I think Sherwood on a 3-year deal, if we'll take it. It's just, I think I can cover the grounds of replacing a safety and 2 interior linemen in the draft. And we'll get our linebacker locked in here. But more importantly, Drake Maye is locked in for the remainder of the rebuild. All right, I said we could win out and tie our record from 6-12. We actually lost out. We went 6-11. We were 12-5 last year. Nothing, but look at the defense. I'll tell you this right now. We're figuring it out. We're getting offense we're getting Drake Maye playing, but we went with this Detroit Lions defense. Let's try again, because that is terrible. With the amount of talent that we have on the defensive side of the ball, to have almost undisputably like a bottom 3 defense in the league. This is a defense that has, well, hopefully, we're probably going to have some form of regression, which is going to be brutal. But this is a defense that does not have a single weakness. This is a defense that has a 91 superstar pass rusher, a 94 lockdown corner. Hall, the rookie that we got in the second round out of Georgia, superstar depth, so you're adding that at nose tackle. Superstar corner. You know, it's not an S-tier defense, but this is an A-tier defense. This is nowhere near a defense that should be ranking in the bottom 7 on any single category, let alone every single category. So, we'll make a change. We have the 7th overall pick in the upcoming draft, so that's... Look at that, lost 7 in a row. God damn it, man. And looking at the stats, I mean, you know, decent play from Drake Maye. The yards were decent, 31 touchdowns, 8 picks. You throw in another 4 and 5 there. You know, Drake Maye was not the problem. Devin Neal had his best season since he's been in the league. I'm not going to complain there. Demario Douglas, 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, 9 and 3 for the tight end Warren, 9 and 7 for Barry Brown, 7 and 7 for Ayo Manor. Could be better, it's probably fair to say it's a luxury when you have multiple 1,000-yard receivers. The fact that we had 2 guys within a shot of it. But Ayo Manor that's a little disappointing as a Canadian, as a Patriot. Defensively, Sonny Styles and Sherwood, a lot of tackles. Our sacks, Abdul Carter with 9, 8.5 for Barmore, 6.5 for the rookie James Smith. I don't hate all of those under the understanding that 3-4 defenses are just dog shit for the most part. But also, it's just not great. Our pass rush is not great. Our secondary, 3 picks for Peppers, 3 for Jalen Jones. We're just not maximizing Gonzalez. We're not maximizing our superstar in Marcus Jones. It's just underutilization of our secondary. I think that's going to be a big reason why we're going to justify our firing and trying to bring in a new defensive coordinator to maximize those players. Drake Maye, he's MVP shortlist, Offensive Player of the Year shortlist. He played well, for context. Damn, James Smith, just runner-up for Defensive Rookie of the Year, drafting him as a normal dev. That would have been a huge win for him to win that award and likely jump up to a star, but you can't have everything. All right, we're going to go the same approach we did last time we had a higher defensive coordinator. Let's look at what schemes are available with under a 3-4 scheme, and then we will see. We got Todd Bowles' scheme. Okay, so we got Tampa Bay. We can straight up hire D'Amico Ryans as their defensive coordinator. They're a 3-4, I'm pretty sure. So let's look at Houston, and we'll look at Tampa Bay, and we'll see if anything there. All right, taking a peek at the Houston Texans defense. Is this something we can picture ourselves? Oh, they have one guy who can get after the quarterback. Interception numbers are pedestrian. As much as I would love to bring in D'Amico Ryans, don't know if that's what we need. But surprise, surprise, not much better when you look at the Bucs here. So I'm a D'Amico Ryans guy. He got fired from Houston. We'll bring him in. Now let's see if he can figure it out. A little bit of 3-4, a little bit of 4-3, cover 3, mix it up. Then changing our defensive scheme to 4-3, cover 3. It's actually the highest scheme fit we have out of every scheme. So it's the right decision there. But we got to go adjust some of our player positions a little bit. Here's a look at our new look D'Amico Ryans-led defense. And it's kind of what, it's not foreign territory for when I'm rebuilding a 3-4 team. That we realize that it's just, this sucks and it's clearly not working. And we're going to change everything. So the bad news, I guess, is Hall, who had a superstar dev, lost his superstar dev off his rookie season, which is pretty harsh. But we'll call it the cost of doing business and the final blow of justifying why we need to move off a 3-4, because it's just cannibalizing our talent. Very lucky that Abdul Carter still keeps his dev trait. And let's hope that this front 3, we can make the transition fairly easy. I moved Kyle Duggar, who is a veteran strong safety, still under contract. We moved him to linebacker, 220 pounds, just to kind of fill that void. But luckily, it's going to be primarily nickel with Sherwood and Styles out there. We are going to find a replacement for Jabril Peppers, who we're letting walk. But you look at everywhere else, like this defense can handle it. Maybe more upside. Ojulari's kind of just a placeholder. He's -4. So he's actually a 78 star, which is decent enough that you're not going to say that's a weakness. But I think you could definitely say a big-time pass rusher, an outside linebacker, a free safety would go a long way for this defense. When you look at the offense, we got to replace center and guard. We lost another dev trait. O'Connell was a hidden dev as well. He's a little bit of a bummer. Good news is Pop Douglas is up to superstar, so that's pretty cool. No other dev trait regression. So we need 2 linemen, a safety, a linebacker, and maybe some pass rush help. I think we can do it. I think it's another situation. Let's decline the 5th-year option, and you're going to get your bag next year, Mr. Carter. So for free agency, I don't know how I just missed, so brutal. Decent free agency. You got Jahmyr Gibbs is there. A couple big names, Terry and Arning, Xavier Worthy, Jack Campbell. I tried to just bring in, like, I would thought, honestly, a little bit underrated signing would be good, in Trevin Wallace. And at no point were the Vikings higher rated than us on his interest. And he still decides to go with them. So, yeah, we're going to... We're going to have to draft a linebacker, I guess. So we close out free agency. The draft has absolutely nothing outside of the first round, I think, for center. I'm not seeing any single player with an A in run block or pass block, which is kind of the tell. So what I'm going to do is we bring in Axman Jr. for depth at linebacker, but I'm going to get a 1-year deal on both guard and center, and maybe we can just kind of push that position till next year. So we got Mason McCormick, who played everywhere at South Dakota State. We're going to slide him inside the center, and then we're going to keep Daniel Faleale, the gigantic 6'8", 380. He'll play guard for us, both on 1-year rentals. In the last mock draft, we know what we're picking. We're not going to be able to get the top edge rusher. Lance Bauer looks like he's going to be going to the Raiders. Sharpton's going there. I'm not overly... Pryor looks like he could be interesting for us, and that's where we have him in the mock draft. He's a first-round talent, so you'd feel decent making that selection. But the kind of good-ish, bad-ish news is my focus scout this year was safety, because I knew we had to replace Peppers. I knew Duggar wasn't getting any younger, and Mapu is what he is. Is his best position, even safety. Should he be a linebacker? Fortunately, he didn't, the scouting didn't 100% line up, so I don't have many players 100% unlocked, which is a bummer. But the good news is at face value, none of these free safeties look particularly good. Strong safeties, however, is a different story, and we got 2 options here. One would be in the first round, but again, we're picking at 7. If we can get that edge rusher, we can. And honestly, if I do that, then I'm going to see if I can flip B.J. Ojulari, see if I can get a 3rd or 4th round pick for almost an 80-star dev pass rusher on the right side of 30, which shouldn't be too hard. But Hicks looks legit. He is B-man coverage, C-zone, A-catching, B-tackle. Pretty decent stats across the board. So, I mean, there's an argument that could be made that maybe trade back into the first round and try to double up. Or we can wait and see if we can get Deshaun Willis out of Alabama in the 2nd round. Might have to be aggressive and trade up. Honestly, I might even try to trade up to the first pick of the 2nd round to ensure that we can get him if he falls. We got B-man, which is good. C coverage, that kind of looks average there. But at least when you get into the combine, you're starting to see top 5 in the positions and testings that you want to see in the 40-yard dash, 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle. He looks pretty good. He looks like he'd at least be a hidden dev trait. But first things first, with the 7th overall pick, we are going to select Richard Pryor. That doesn't look like Richard. I've seen some Richard Pryor in my life. But a 4.59 at his pro day pass rusher on the other side of Abdul Carter. I'm in, man. Especially switching to this new scheme. Get another big-time pass rush. Have 2 dogs that can absolutely eat. And we get number 10 in true value at pick number 7 for Richard Pryor. Hidden dev pass rusher. 89 acceleration, 85 speed. Not too bad. Now, we got to make sure that A, we can get that safety, and B, move B.J. Ojulari for some assets. Willis is still on the board at pick 46. Might not have to honestly trade up too much. Okay. Safety went 2nd pick. We're not going to tempt fate. We're going to trade up here with the Texans. I wanted to throw a player in there, but as you can kind of see, the Texans are in negative salary cap, so there's no player that I could throw onto the deal. But to move up a couple spots here in the 2nd round, and I was able to gain a 3rd rounder next year. I had to throw in a 7th round this year, a 4th round this year, and a 4th round next year. So maybe a slight overpay, but I'd rather a 3rd round pick than a 4th round pick. John Madden analysis. That trade able to secure the services of Deshaun Willis, who is going to be our Jabril Peppers successor. Number 42. Number 42 in true value. Getting him at 35. Does have the dev trait, 91 speed. I'm surprised. I thought he'd be an absolute steal at this spot. Okay. Interesting. Now we're in the third round. What we need is linebacker, off-ball linebacker, and trying to figure out who is worth getting. It's always going to be a little difficult. I'll tell you right now that Lincoln and Downs that have A, B, and even Benfield look pretty interesting. Lincoln here to San Diego State, A-zone, B tackle, and he ran a 4.45 with elite speed. So that looks, yep, that's who I want. Downs, all B's across the board, also has elite speed. That looks pretty good. The top projected player, Cordell Easley at a USC, doesn't have the zone. He's a run stuffer, so a different, scheme type. So not that great about it. So I want, honestly, we can go 2 linebackers. If I can find a way to get Lincoln and Downs, Sherwood's not and wasn't someone that we re-signed that's like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be a long-term starter for us at linebacker. Sonny Styles, yeah, feels good. But let's see if we can find a way. So we're able to send B.J. Ojulari to the Vegas Raiders for the first pick in the third round. And with our own selection at number 7, I'm going to double up on those linebackers. And I'd like to think that at least one of them will be hidden depth. With the faster of the 2 first, Monty Lincoln at a San Diego State, 6'2", 233 pounds, number 32 in true value. Getting him at 65, and we get the dev trade 90 speed linebacker with that elite speed. And I'm going to imagine Downs will look fairly similar. Let's see it. 4Bs across the board for the Sooner. Dom, that's a name of a guy that'd be good. Not as hot. 51 in true value, getting him at 71. But 90 acceleration, 90 speed, hit a dev linebacker at almost 250 pounds. I ain't complaining. We have pick number 10 in the third round, and I'm going to pivot. The only A blocking something at guard is Isaiah DeBose. A pass block, 6'2", 310 out of LSU. Bench press is horrific, 20th. But I think in this situation, you gotta trust the pass block rate of an A. And not a bad pick, top 50 in value, 47 at 74. And he has a depth trait, so there we go. That's a hit. Then we finish up with a 4.5 elite speed fullback to replace Pat Ricard, who we had at fullback. We'll always value the fullback here in a Mike Vrabel scheme. And we get a hit at fullback. So we literally have used up all of our luck, probably. And I would imagine next year's draft, we're going to get maybe one hidden dev player, and the rest will be a bunch of wet fart normals. Look at our draft recap. Anytime you get everyone above a 70, you'd be pretty happy with that. Kendrick, 71, hidden dev. DeBose, 73, hidden dev. Downs, 73, hidden dev. Lincoln, 74, hidden dev. Willis, 74, hidden dev. And Richard Pryor, the greatest comedians of all time. But in this situation, he's going to need to become one of the greatest pass rushers of all time. We're going to move from outside linebacker to D-end. Hopefully we don't see any drastic change to his rating. He'll be our right defensive end. 76. He might fall a point. He stays even at 70. Hey, there we go. That is a class as I've ever seen a class. Look at overall. What do we got here? Tyler Hunter. Probably any relation to Travis. 79. There's a quarterback there. 78 going to the Bucs. Just out of interest. Is that like they got themselves a new generational? No, they got themselves a normal dev quarterback. Wet fart. How would you start year number 4? Feel the infusion from the class. I'm going to think a little outside the box as McCormick was kind of fitting a square peg into a round hole by moving a guard to center. We're going to go with DeBose kind of as a guard to center just because he has the upside. He's here longer than 1 year. But we'll keep Filet there on his 1-year rental at right guard. We got a new upgrade at fullback, superstar in Pop Douglas. We're interested to see if all these guys can keep playing at least from a passing offense standpoint, the top 5 unit that they have been the last 2 seasons. Defensively is where we need to see the gamble pay off. We switch from a 3-4 to a 4-3. We get D'Amico Ryans as our defensive coordinator after getting fired as the head coach of the Texans. Looking to get a little revenge. We bring in a top 10 pick at pass rush on the other side of Abdul Carter. We have struggled to get any double-digit pass rushes when in reality, you look at this defense, both Carter and Pryor, you'd love to see them get double digits. On top of that, you'd love to see Christian Gonzalez, who is a lockdown corner, start to play and develop like one and get off that regular dev trade. Willis is going to start at free safety. I'm going to go with the youth movement here at linebacker with Lincoln and Downs. Sherwood kind of now moved to a depth role, and we just re-signed him, which is a little bit of a bummer, but I think it's better to get the young studs out there alongside Sonny Styles, Mapu there at strong safety. I mean, no weaknesses on that defense. It's just can D'Amico Ryans and Mike Vrabel find a way to get these guys to play their best football? Because last year was horrific. So a mixed bag here at the midway point of year number 4. Last year we were 6-11. This year, we have 5-4. We're 1 win away from equaling last year's record. But last year was a disappointment, so no matter what way you want to compare it, we don't want to compare ourselves to the weird outlier season. However, we're kind of still struggling defensively. But also the division sucks, and we're first place in the division. So it's a mixed bag, and the initial bad news is change the defense from a 3-4 to a 4-3 with DeMeco Ryans. Doesn't seem to be going as well as it could, but we're winning enough, so that's kind of a good news. We have $137 million of salary cap. We got to figure out how we want to handle it. We have a very good kicker. We'll pay our very good kicker. We have very good, very, very good tight end, which he's here twice, but we're definitely going to keep him in the building. Oh, he's on the fence. You're on the fence, huh? Is that so? We have Abdul Carter, who a lot of times, man, I will cut the bull crap and be like, you better be performing for me to pay you. But considering you are one of the stars of this rebuild, I'm going to gamble that I'm going to eventually get this defense right, and you're going to start playing at an elite level. So we'll get him back. Devin Neal's been meh. Barmore, honestly, is kind of surplus requirement. Cole Strange could be replaced. Filet, like all these guys are just on rentals. Can't believe. Okay, so we got the kicker. Ramondre's there. I definitely think we come back for Tyler Warren. Sonny Styles is an interesting one because you're starting to go like he's flirting with edge rush money, and he's never been crazy enough. We just got 2 hidden dev linebackers coming in. I think now that we have Drake Maye's contract paid out, we can't be keeping everybody. Tough decisions that come. So I think we bring back Tyler Warren, and we have to try our best to replace everybody else. A 4-year, $70 million contract gets Tyler Warren to sign on the dotted line. I'd like to see 2-game win streak. We get our first player of the week in 2 seasons. Shout out Jalen Jones, 9 tackles and a pick 6. Late in the season, another 2-game win streak. 1 win away from getting double digits. Tough stretch, though. Jets are pretty good. And the Cardinals ain't bad at 10-5. But we get another player of the week performance, and it is Drake Maye. That's one we haven't seen in a minute with a 4-touchdown, 330-yard performance. And then here for we are back in the playoffs. 11-6. We won 3 in a row to end the regular season. Our passing offense is still on point. Everything else, can't really figure it out. But we do win our second AFC East title of the rebuild, somehow in the tiebreaker over the Buffalo Bills there. So that is something we can certainly hang our hat on. Looking at the stats, man, that's a hell of a year for Drake Maye. For almost 45, just, it's fair to say he's in the discussion. 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns. Interceptions up a little bit. He's been fairly consistent being a single-digit interception thrower. But I'll take 37 touchdowns every day of the week. Our run game, Devin Neal, I know he's been solid, but replaceable. There's a reason why we clearly shouldn't be re-signing him and looking maybe towards the draft. 2nd round, 3rd round, somewhere in that range to find a running back. Demario Douglas with 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns, 950-6 from A.U. Minor, 9-6 for Barry and Brown, 7-3 for Tyler Warren. Yeah, respectable numbers. We'd love to get back to multiple 1,000-yard receivers like we had a couple years ago. The rookie Monty Lincoln led the team with 111 tackles with 4 TFLs. We got 8 sacks from Jordan Hall, 5.5 for Barmore, 5 from James Smith, 3.5 for Abdul Carter. I will say this. If we go on a little bit of a run, I'll give DeMeco Ryans another season to install the system. But again, we are at a spot where our fucking defense is going to cannibalize our players' depth traits because they can't find a way to fucking mac them up. Oh my god, dude. We're if we win a couple playoff games, I'll keep them. If not, we got to see if we can get a good roll. This is brutal, man. I've never struggled finding a defense that can get it going like I have this season. I don't think we're going to have any award winners. Maybe defense. There we go. Lincoln and Pryor, of course. Coming at 2 and 3. Those probably were our best shots at having an award winner. So, yeah, nothing there. And we got the Raiders in the first round. They got Arch Manning as their quarterback, throwing it to Brock Bauer. That's a tough out. And again, there's nothing really screaming that this team's ready to win right now, which is pretty bad considering this is usually when we are ramping up to go compete for a Super Bowl. But I think until we find a proper defense and a proper defensive coordinator who could figure out these guys, we are not doing anything. Drake Maye struggled. Not good enough. Unacceptable. Completely not even one TFL. Oh, we didn't get one. Sorry. We got one. We made one play behind the line of scrimmage this whole fucking game. The good news is dev traits. Kendrick's at fullback. We got a superstar fullback. The Bose is going to be a star guard. He's going to take over for Leale next season. While on the defensive side of the ball, Pryor, star dev, meh. Down, star dev, meh. Lincoln, star dev, meh. But Willis, the free safety. Well, he's a strong safety, soon to be a free safety. X Factor, baby. Let's go. And he played well. He had a hell of a year. We'll modify him right now to make him a free safety, because that's where he's going to be as our true Jabril Peppers successor. But even though I don't really want to pad my stats by considering and counting a superstar fullback, we got a superstar and X Factor and a couple star devs. That is a win from this draft haul. But this pays me to do it because I am a big fan of D'Amico Ryans, one of my favorite Eagles. Probably top 3 free agency signing defensive Eagles in my time. But dog shit, man. Absolute dog shit. And there's what we needed. Give me the Bill. I'll take the 3-4 Bills defense over just about anybody, and we're very, very lucky that he is here. It's also completely valid to say what we are struggling with right now within itself is and will forever be probably the issue with Madden franchise mode. Is that, like, right now, it feels like my biggest issue, my biggest priority, the biggest thing I need to fix is not that I just drafted an X Factor. It's not that I just retooled my defense. It's not anything to do with personnel, right? I have built a defense. Maybe this defense shouldn't be top 3. Maybe this defense shouldn't have multiple guys that are getting 15, 16, 17 sacks. Maybe you're right. But they definitely should be playing a lot better than what they were. So the way that the way that you have to solve your defense in this exact situation is not to like, oh, I got to draft better. Oh, I got to sign that next big free agent. And it's nothing to do with my personnel. I have to find the right playbook. And I feel like adage route, that's just downright not good enough. I'm going to surprisingly pick up the 5th-year option here on Ayo Minor just because, when was the last time I went over 1,000 yards? If he's never going to be a 1,000-yard receiver, I'd rather get him on a long-term, no long committed money and move on if he's not going to be the schematic wide receiver that can get 1,000 yards for us. So let's get another year on that rookie option. So for free agent this year, nothing crazy, not necessarily wanting to break the bank, but I think I got some legit moves. I don't think we're going to have to wait too long and have a lot of competition for Geno Smith, but I just figure we need a backup quarterback. Why not bring one in with mentor that will give a little bit of XP extra to Drake Maye on a week-to-week basis. By moving out of the Devin Neal situation at running back, for what he was looking for, I was able to get Caleb Johnson, 2582, and Katron Allen, another Penn State player. We've been stacking a lot of those. I was able to get both those guys, RB1 and RB2, and it was still like $1 million less than what Devin Neal was looking for. So yeah, we give up the dev trait, but running backs have never really featured too heavily, and it means I don't have to draft a running back early. And we're able to get a depth corner here in Jalen Husky. 2578 was very interested in joining the program. We needed a corner 4, so we're adding some good depth there. But that means we're going to be going into the draft with, I still don't think you want these moves, that if there's like a clearly freaky Saquon Barkley type running back, we can't draft him. We need guard center starters and maybe start looking at a Marty Mapu strong safety replacement. All right, so we don't have a whole lot of tackles left. But because, if you've watched my rebuilds, knowing that we need guard center this year as well, we know how to find the guards and centers that we really like. We have Peyton Hicks here, A pass block. Should be able to get him 2nd, 3rd round. We might need to trade up and want to get a couple 2nd-round picks. We have Cantwell as well, day 1, 1st, 2nd-round talent at center. No worries there. Or even if we whiff on him, we have Ham, who has A pass block. So I feel pretty decent about both those centers that are available. However, we focus scout at tackle, and we really only have like 1 first-round tackle left. And I'm not going to lie, he looks like he could be fine, but he doesn't necessarily look over the moon. But, that's a great frame at 6'7", 340. You can make worse picks, and if this one sucks, I still feel real confident about the guard center and the interior lineman that hopefully we will follow suit with these picks. But, you know, you would have loved to see maybe elite strength if you're blind picking and you don't have the letter grades to go. And, yeah, this might be a little bit of a bummer. 56 in true value, getting him at number 23. Does have a dev trait, which is a win. So, you know, kind of a playing the lottery there, but definitely not my best pick. I'm going to gamble that I can sim all the way to our pick 23 here and still have the guard center that we want on the board. At guard, we still have Hicks. At center, we still have Cantwell. So they're both still there. We'll go get Hicks. Love the look of this pick. A, pass block. B, run block. Combine stats. Check out. Number 11, true value 55. Hidden dev. There's a day one starter. Done. And we're going to make a move to trade back up into the second round to get our center. And it's going to cost us 76 depth wide receiver Robinson on a rookie contract. Nothing too crazy, but it's going to cost us also our third round pick this year, third round pick next year, and a fifth round pick this year. So paid a pretty penny, but I think that center's going to be worth it considering he will be a day one starter. Tell you what, you better have a dev trait there, Mr. Cantwell, because there was an A pass block center that I would not have had to trade up for that probably will have a dev trait, but we did get one here in Cantwell. Big time athlete, 86 acceleration, 76 speed, 81 jumping, 70 agility, 89 strength. Yes, sir, looks good. I just honestly, this is crazy. I want this video to come out today. I just spent probably about 20 minutes looking to find just the best player because we have our third round pick. We had 2 third round picks, so then we traded one to move up in the second round. Still have a third round. I literally went through every position that I kind of needed. I have written down here, I need an RB3, a tight end 3, a corner 5, strong safety 2. Honestly, could even look at a backup quarterback. And every single position, this guy looks like he's going to be the best. TJ Bailey at tight end, A, catching traffic, but he has the A, run block, elite strength, which was a role that in last year's Madden almost meant that they were going to be an X factor. Definitely hasn't carried over to this, but it is going to be a nice value pick back up behind Warren. Maybe we can get a little bit of the tight end duo that should now ever be mentioned from Patriots lore. You know. But number 41 at true value at 87, no dev trait, but I think he's going to be a pretty high rated player. I feel pretty good about this draft class. First round pick was the only one I was a little shaky about. And even then, 73 hidden dev at right tackle, which is, I mean, I don't think we're necessarily in a position to trade Mike Vrabel, but we could consider it. Hicks in the second round, 75 dev trait. Cantwell, 73 dev trait. Bailey, 73 normal. We end up with running back and wide receiver depth late, but 470s kind of cross the board. Happy with that. I guess if you're nitpicking our draft so far, considering we are, it's fair to say, struggling a little with the Patriots. We've yet to get like that true blue chip first round pick since Abdul Carter. Even then, Abdul Carter was a star dev. So I mean, I could potentially entertain that discussion if we're trying to figure out why this is as difficult as it has been. But we've also kind of been in that little bit of a purgatory. We're outside of year 3. Year 1 we went 9-8, so not a great pick. Year 2 we went 12-5, so we're not picking high enough to get a blue chip guy. This year we went 11-6, not picking high enough to get a blue chip guy. And yes, I'm making excuses for my average drafting. And I say average drafting because it kind of has been, but also I got a freaking X Factor safety last year, so we're not doing too bad. Another weird year 5, our 87 overall Patriots team. This is usually about the time that, in most rebuilds, at least these realistic rebuilds, this version 2 that we've started, that our team's like, well, yeah, we've been to a championship game, we're close to a Super Bowl. Not necessarily the case. I am very, very confident that with finally landing a competent defensive coordinator, bringing over some Bills schemes, that our defense is going to play at a high level. But, we got 2 rookies on the offensive line. Love the fact that Hicks is already playing like a 79. We have Blaylock behind Onwenu. Not about trading Onwenu, but we'll just let Blaylock, develop, and hopefully we don't lose the dev trait there. Usually they seem to be a little more forgiving for linemen, but you never know. McConnell was a hidden dev rookie, and he lost his dev trait because he didn't play. But we got 95 overall Drake Maye, 91 Ayo Menor, 93 Pop Douglas, Barian Brown. We got Caleb Johnson, cheap, affordable running back play. I'm cautiously optimistic that this offense is going to at least play like the top 10 offense they have been. And if they do that, and the defense has the turnaround that I think they're going to, with the addition of an X factor at safety, we got Downs and Lincoln primarily as our linebackers. We got one of the best corners in the league in Gonzo. Priors to another year of development at pass rush. Interior. I mean, there's no weaknesses, and hopefully this scheme here just lets Abdul Carter run wild, especially after paying him. Haven't got the great return on investment for giving like $100+ million contract for an edge rusher. Hell, even our special teams is good. We got a superstar kicker, and we got a 96 return man in Barian Brown. Like, there is zero weakness to this team, yet We are going into our 6th season here, 5th year overall of the rebuild, and I still have no idea if this team is where we need them to be to compete for a Super Bowl. So I'd love to be pleasantly surprised. I would say at bare minimum this year, I want to see the defense not be in the 20s. Midway year 5, and we're 4-4. We're in that purgatory. Where are we good? Are we bad? Looking at our rankings, our defense is improved, but like nothing stand out about this team whatsoever. I'm stuck. This is I guess we're due for a rebuild like this, where it's not clear cut and dry on our path to make a team good. I don't know. Well, let's look at contracts. I think we got A.O. Minor on a rookie option, so that means Baron Brown, great return man, worth the contract extension. Josh Simmons at tackle. I mean, we have Owenu's replacement. Mapu, we knew we had to replace him coming up. Jones, I focused scout at corners this year. Knew we had to replace him. And looking elsewhere, I mean, yeah, $61 million. How much of that do we want to pay to a franchise left tackle? Probably a lot of that. So let's see if we can get him on a 4-year player-friendly deal. And we do locking down Josh Simmons. I just shipped to the end of the year, 13-4. And we ran through the Chiefs. And look at that, number 1 defense, top 10 offense. I'm not gonna lie, I got frustrated. I was like, man, fuck, another just burn it year. Let's just get to the end, see what happens. And look, we got upgrades on upgrades. 5 for the center Cantwell. So this team's gonna be significantly better when we take another look at it. I love the initial impression. You know what? The pass yards per game, the defensive rush yards per game. How does that equate the number 2 defense? Don't care. We have the number 2 defense in the league. The passing offense was acceptable. Hell, even the run offense was a little better than what it's been. And this has been a rebuild that's just been like, I haven't had one breakout scenario hit. Now, in a sim rebuild format, the breakout scenarios in Madden 25 are very difficult to get. I think if you were playing this game by game by game, it was kind of like a long format thing. The breakout scenario system is a little bit more geared towards that, and I'm not going to say that my niche of playing franchise mode should be catered to. It just kind of is what it is. But like, we're not getting player of the week performances. You know, like to highlight those when they happen. But Drake Maye, 4,200 yards, 31 touchdowns, 9 picks. Not a crazy year, but also like that's bare minimum, good enough. You know, he's been a reliable 400 to 500 yard, 4 to 8 rush touchdown type of player. So you got to factor that in as well. So we're at 4,600 yards, 35 touchdowns. You're never going to complain about that stat line. Whoa! Lunch is here. We got just under 1,000 yards and 16 touchdowns for the normal dev Caleb Johnson. That might play himself into a dev trade increase. For receivers, very close to having 2,000-yard receivers. Love seeing A.O. Minor go for 1,200 yards and 8 tuds. 8-7 for Warren, 8-7 for Pop Douglas. Happy with those numbers across the board. Defensively, look, yes! That's all I wanted. 14.5 sacks, 12 TFLs for like my 95 superstar pass rusher. I'm not going to go on a rant. I've gone on rants. Again, there is a gigantic issue with the fact that to get your defense to play good, it's nothing to do with talent. It's all about playbook. Fix it. 11.5 sacks for Richard Pryor, 6 for James Smith, 5 from Jordan Hall. With the TFLs, all very acceptable numbers. Oh, look, Gonzo has his best year. Hey, we played the hand and we're down. I would have hired the Bills DC years ago if he was available. But doing a realistic approach, we're not going to manipulate anything. We took the coordinators that were available every single time we decided to make a switch. And it just so happened it took us 5 years to get a good roll on there. Drake Maye does still make top 10 of the MVP voting. So even if it, like from a passing number standpoint, feels like a meh type year, I mean, he's still in the discussion. Mike Vrabel wins his first Coach of the Year award. And our rental, a little bit of like a meh RB signing, kind of just filling the spots. Wins RB of the year. So that likely will be a dev trade increase for Caleb Johnson. Love to see that. It's really nice to have the turnaround that we had this year, but the fact of the matter is we've had 0 playoff success. So I have no idea how well this is going to go. So we kick off. We were able to kick our feet up for the wild card round. Don't have to run the gauntlet. And we await a bitter divisional rival in Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Last time we made the playoffs, we lost our first game. Hey, we win! Ooh, this could have been an overtime thriller. 21-19. Malcolm Lincoln, the linebacker, with 12 tackles and a sack. And we are a win away from going to the Super Bowl. We just got to take down the cheat code. But in our matchup here, low scoring. I thought it would have went to overtime. Hey, you know what? Bills scored 13 in the fourth. I almost want to act like that was garbage time. It probably wasn't. It was probably us almost choking it, but very good performance from Drake Maye. 286 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Run game was kind of non-existent, but Barry Brown and Ayo Minor, 2 of our top wide receivers, going off. Lincoln got player of the week. Had like, look at 4 TFLs and a sack from James Smith. Downs, Pryor, all getting after it. Hall Gonzalez with an interception and a half sack. It's going to be tough to beat us, but it's Kansas City. You know what happens when you got to run into the Chiefs. You got to hope to God. Now, we did beat them in the regular season, for whatever that's worth, but it does feel like when it comes playoff time, just, I don't know. Is it the football gods? How do we explain what goes on with Kansas City in real life? Because that also just carries over into Madden. Real life in Madden is really no different for the Chiefs. They are the final boss until they are not. And I don't see them not being the final boss any longer. The Rams win. Did we win? We got a player of the week. Let's see if we can guess by player of the week. Because if it's something like where Holmes got it and we had a defensive guy, Drake Maye got it. And I'm going to guess by the fact that their defense only had 6 tackles. And we might have fucking, pardon my French, beat the Chiefs. Let's go. Insert dramatic music. Did we beat the Chiefs? Yes, 1 point. 25-24. We scored 15 in the fourth. We only had 3 points going into halftime. Oh, going toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. He was also our best runner. Caleb Johnson, good job there. Barry and Brown, 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. That is a great percentage. And on the defensive side of the ball, Lincoln's a tackle machine. We got a sack and a half from Abdul Carter. Patriots are back in the Super Bowl, baby, out of nowhere. To be honest, if we win this is going to be the most abrupt surprise ending to a rebuild that we've had yet of these realistic rebuilds. Because I thought, honestly, like in my notes, every rebuild I do, I got this big old notepad, and I write down everything. I write down all the free agents we sign, all the players that we draft. A lot of it is to like try to prevent like re-signing similar players year in, year out. Seeing like, you know, you don't always want to sign Tyreek Hill. I don't want to sign him with 3 straight rebuilds. So I can kind of keep track as well as the draft picks. But I just go year-to-year basis, and I've already penciled in year 6 and year 7 because like this team was not ready to go win a Super Bowl. If we can cash this one in here and get a successful rebuild, I'll tell you right now, we'll be able to go start working on listening to the rumors, Deion Sanders Dallas Cowboy rebuild. And it's very difficult to get me excited to do a Cowboy rebuild. That would be pretty fun. Looking at the tail of the tape though, because we still could choke this one and have to go to year 6, have to go to year 7, have to go to year 10. You never know. Especially with this team where it's been a lot of ups and downs. We are a 90 overall team. We have a better roster, top to bottom, in every single measurable category, but it's a battle of 2 13-4 teams. We have, obviously our rankings are well known. Overall though, top 10 offense, second best defense in the league. You look at the Rams, they're the number 2 offense with a top 5 passing offense, and they have the number 1 rushing defense. And with Caleb Johnson on our team this year, I bet you he got his dev trait. Got it. He won running back of the year. I'll be absolutely surprised if he doesn't get it. Which he did. I mean, Cantwell, superstar dev center. Let's go. We got Hicks up to an 85, Cantwell 83. Don't know the dev trait yet on Blaylock. But not, I mean, look at that. 99 for Warren. 99 for Drake Maye. Ayo Minor 94. Pop Douglas 94. Caleb Johnson gets a +5 boost. Sure, the boosts are off the charts here. But we got a 90 running back. You look at the defense. Mapu gets a random superstar dev, of course, as soon as I'm ready to freaking replace him. Lincoln, who's been incredible, is almost a 90. Gonzo's 97. D-line is best D-line in the league, led by a 98 overall Abdul Carter. This team is ready to get a Super Bowl. All right, we know. Oh, Brock Purdy's the Rams quarterback. We know that we're better than them in every single category. We got to go prove it. It's Super Bowl. We have 3 opportunities to hop in if we need to. It usually is like a 3rd down if our defense is kind of keeping us into it. Let's see what can happen here. I'm expecting a low-scoring game. Hopefully a low-scoring game to the good guys. And we are quickly in a 14-0 hole. We march right down the field, cut into that lead. If we get a third down here, we will hop in. Third down, trying to look to tie this one up. Halfway through the third quarter. Ooh, double slants at the top. You know what I like. You know what I like. Ayo Manor, Pop Douglas. We got Warren. Oh, no. Boom! As he gets smashed, he goes to the Canadian Ayo Manor. What a throw by Drake Maye to tie this one up at 14. We got to settle for a field goal, but it is a lead going into the fourth quarter. We hold them to a field goal, and now we have 3 minutes to go on a game-winning drive. Does Drake Maye have the cojones? No, very quick 3 and out, but it's a 3-0 by the Rams, so now you have a minute 29. 44, we're going for the field goal. We have a superstar kicker. Yes! The one time in rebuild, not only do we have a superstar kicker, we re-signed him. The amount of times I get kickers and punters, I just don't care. I don't even care if they're good. I'm not going to re-sign them because you can almost always draft one, especially once you get to the Madden generated classes. You can find a kicker that has at least like good to great kick power, B kick accuracy. They'll be in the 70s. You'll be fine. But you know what? I was like, we got a superstar kicker here. Borey Gallus. Butcher that probably every time I say it. From Miami. Drafted him. Real player. Superstar dev. Won kicker of the year. I think he's like a 90 overall. And a team that at their foundation values, because of what Bill Belichick accomplished, their special teams maybe more than any team in the NFL, win on a, it wasn't a walk-off field goal, but essentially a walk-off field goal, 20-17. We find an MVP. Who earned it? Not Drake Maye. 2 picks. Not a great showing. Did just enough. Run game was non-existent. Ayo Manor, 93 yards, had our touchdown. Barry Brown had a touchdown. I don't think anyone on the offense is getting it. Oh my God. 5 sacks by Richard Pryor. Oh, hilarious that we got, like, you know, I'm surprised we couldn't find like an Eddie Murphy, Bill Burr in the class, you know? But Richard Pryor says, you know what? I'll get 5 freaking sacks in the Super Bowl. There's your MVP. Defensive MVP. So as we always like to do to wrap up a rebuild, looking at the career stats of the players. Drake Maye finishes his career with 23,000 yards passing, 185 touchdowns, and 56 picks. Now, there's been a couple seasons that he's been on the MVP shortlist, but never anything higher than like 8th or 9th. Sometimes 10th, just barely making the cutoff. So this is another rebuild that we've won without having that cheesy juggernaut MVP quarterback that you sometimes can get into that pattern of like multiple rebuilds where it's like, oh yeah, congrats on winning the Super Bowl. You had a 98 X-Factor quarterback. Wasn't the case. Now, we weren't poor in the quarterback department. He is technically still a 99 superstar, but it's not like it was easy. It's not like it was incredibly cheesy. We found a way to win without having MVP quarterback play, I guess is the way you could say it, because we had MVP talent, but never really had the play there. Our run game was really non-existent throughout, which I definitely thought was kind of surprising, but Caleb Johnson carved out a decent career. Drake Maye gave us really reliable rushing numbers year in, year out. Pop Douglas, 6,600 yards, 59 touchdowns. Hell of a career. Tyler Warren, 4,300 yards, 33 touchdowns. Was awesome. Being a second-round normal devs shocking pick to being the true Gronk successor here in New England. That was pretty cool. Got the Canadian Alec Ayo Manor, 3,900 yards, 30 touchdowns, 3,500 yards, 29 touchdowns for Barry Brown. Getting them both from the same class was gigantic, and that was a vital part of our offense in this rebuild. Defensively, I mean, hey, Marcus Jones was pretty badass. Leads the team in tackles, but you got to remember, he got that superstar dive one year. Got DB of the year on his books with 17 interceptions. We got 15 from Gonzalez. Maybe a little disappointing in Gonzalez. Kind of hyped him up at the very beginning of this rebuild, like a guy that maybe can we get him up to an X Factor. The talent is there. Second team All-Pro in real life. Never going to go up dev trait, but does finish out the rebuild as a 97, 96, 97, however you want to break it down, overall corner, which is very, 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 very good. And on the sacks front, I mean, that was the big struggle in this rebuild, was to get this defense to produce. And it's kind of funny. Pryor's been in the league for 2 years. And in the Super Bowl, he almost got half of his career sacks. Pretty cool. But 49 TFLs, 40 and a half sacks for Abdul Carter. And you would assume Now that we've kind of found a great defensive scheme for this team, that he was going to get ready to strap that rocket and his production was going to go through the roof. Awesome player, and he ends up finishing his career as a 95 superstar pass rusher. But overall, it is another successful rebuild in the books. We've yet to fail, but didn't really think I was going to fail in this rebuild. Wanted to do it because Mike Vrabel was kind of the first big head coaching name hire. But knowing that we had Drake Maye on this roster and we had the quarterback, franchise quarterback, he was there. He was there. Never had to worry about it. I didn't think this was ever going to necessarily flirt with a unsuccessful rebuild where we went 10 years with no Super Bowls. But, hey, it was difficult. We had our challenges. Just couldn't get consistency. But eventually we found a winning scheme defensively. And the rest is history. Also, shout out to our special teams. 91 kicker making the walk-off with an asterisk. Again, wasn't really a walk-off, but kind of was. To win the Super Bowl. But all in all, very successful rebuild. And I hope you guys did enjoy, especially if you're a Patriots fan. You got Mike Vrabel. Things are probably going to be pretty good for you guys. And maybe this is a preview of what's to come. And if you said in 6 seasons, 6 more years, the Patriots will be back and winning a Super Bowl with Mike Vrabel at the helm, with Drake Maye at quarterback, that's all you can ask for as a Patriots fan. So that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do think, as we are in the rebuild mode of teams that didn't make the playoffs, and the fact that there's some rumors right now that Coach Prime could be going to Dallas. We're probably going to have fun with that rebuild next, but let me know in the comment section below what other rebuilds you want to see. Right now, I am prioritizing teams that did not make the playoffs. And if you do suggest a team, please suggest college players that you would like to see featured in that rebuild. If it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and leave a comment for the YouTube robots. Helps the channel out in the algorithm. And I'll see you guys back in the next one. Peace out. Love ya. Have a good one.